Right. Welcome, guys, to day number 5 of the Slow Flip Blueprint. We had a little technical difficulties. My apologies. We should be good. Hope you guys are doing awesome, doing well. I'm Joe McCall, and I'm with
Scott Jelinek. How's everybody doing today?
Scott Jelinek is in the house. All right. Okay, hold on here. Turn off sale format. Dang, Facebook does this thing where when we go live in our Facebook group, it thinks that we are like, you know how you can sell things or list things for sale. It thinks we are listing something for sale. No, but we are good. Woo!
All right, I see it's live in the Facebook group. All right, we did it.
All right.
We did it.
Sorry, we're about 5 minutes late. I'm excited about this. We are broadcasting today, day 5, to my YouTube channel and a couple different Facebook groups and my Facebook profile that I'm in. We just wanted to get this out to the widest audience that we can, because I think this is so important what Scott is talking about here. We're talking about slow flips. Now, Scott, would you just quickly introduce yourself? A lot of new people are watching this. I'm going to put this out on our podcast as well. This is a real special episode because this strategy, I think, is so important, especially coming into the economy. I'm pretty bearish. That means I'm pessimistic about the where our economy and the market is going, which is why this strategy we're calling slow flips is so important. It's about buying a rental property, but not being the landlord, being the bank. It's like buying it like a car and selling it like a house. We're going to pay these things off in 5 years, not using our own money, using private investors' money, using other investors that we sell it to. So we're being the bank because we're selling these deals with kind of like owner financing. And Scott has done tons and tons of these deals. I'm stealing your thunder here, Scott, but let me just tell you, because I'm worried you're going to forget. Guys, he doesn't brag about himself too much, but this guy's a beast. He's been in the business since the 90s. Is that right, Scott?
94, I bought my first house, yes.
Yes, right out of the military. And now he's got 128 of these slow flip properties. He's got like 55 of them paid off. And his 12-year-old son, is that right? 12?
Yep.
How many of these does he have?
He has 30. He has 30. Yes.
30.
Yes.
And I love this. This is not the slow 30-year path to cash flow, which is a myth. This is more not get rich quick, but it's get rich. So I'm sorry, Scott, to steal. Will you just real quick introduce yourself?
I have nothing more to say. You covered everything, Joe.
That's it. Okay, let's just move on. But I thought I wanted to introduce Scott to y'all and do a quick summary of what a slow flip is. In today's session, we're going to be talking about wrapping everything up and then how to raise the private money for these deals, so you're not using any of your own cash, which interests me the most, right? So go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
So actually, ironically, today I was going to start off with some videos showing a real deal, step by step, that I purchased, what it looked like, and then what it looked like after the buyer renovated it. And I got to interview the buyer, although he got a little camera shy, but he's still on there. But so what a slow flip is, and you can go back and watch the previous videos to get the full gist of it. But what it is we're buying houses like a car. And what I mean by that is you guys have bought a car, even if it's a Toyota or an Acura or whatever, and it could be 30, 40, 50 grand, but you still pay it off in 5 years. Yet when you go to buy a house, they want to finance it for 30 years. And so I kind of got in that mindset of what's going on here? And so I started buying properties like a car where I did short-term amortizations, pay them off in 5 years, but then I sell them the same way everybody expects to be sold, which is on a 30-year mortgage. And so I just get in the middle. The sellers need the cash, the buyers need the financing, and then I get in the middle. The last thing I want to touch on, Joe, and I know we only have a limited amount of time, but you might be thinking in your head, well, that's great, but I don't have money to pay for these houses to get them. That I understand. We use private money, and that's actually what we're going to cover today. We use private lenders, private money. So we do these deals with no money whatsoever. We don't make a lot of money till the 61st payment, but then it's all ours for the duration. That's my short version, Joe.
That's good. And so we're buying these things we're buying these things for like 30 grand, and we're selling them for 80 to 100 grand to either an investor buyer, usually is the case, an investor buyer, or a tenant that's going to live in it. And, but we're selling it on a contract for deed, right? And we're not doing any of the repairs. We're not fixing these houses up. The buyer is fixing them up. We are offering, we're not selling the house, we're selling financing, and the house comes with it. Okay. Now, this is important to understand. You may think I live in Denver, Nashville, San Diego. There are no $30,000, $40,000 houses here. Well, you're right. But these deals are really easy to do virtually. And so you can do them in any market across the country. And there's some really, really good markets that still have good rental properties that need work. They need updating. That's why we can buy them for so cheap. We're buying them for 30. They need updating, but then they're worth, once they're fixed up, they're worth $90,000 to $100,000. Okay. So it's important to understand we're not doing the rehab. We're not doing any of our own work. We're not doing the work ourselves to fix this up. And we're not being the landlord. We're being the bank, and we're paying these things off in 5 years. So that first 5 years, there's no cash flow, right? And who cares when you're 12 years old and your mom and dad are paying all your bills, right? But like, think of it, guys. Right now, how old are you? 40, 45 years old?
Me, I'm
right?
48.
48. You guys listening, watching this, you're like, I'm only 35. Imagine 5 years from now, how old are you going to be? I'll be 52 in 5 years from now. Imagine if you follow this strategy in 5 years from now, you're going to have, depends on how aggressive you are and how many of these are you buying. But like we showed you in the earlier session, how you can find these things really, really quickly. Get other people to bring you these deals. So we're not doing tons of expensive marketing, but imagine yourself in 5 years from now, having 2, 3, 5 of these paid off, paying you $500, $600, $800 a month, maybe more, in true, real passive cash flow. You're not setting aside any of that money for property management, for vacancies or repairs and all of that stuff, right? You're selling it to an owner occupant or an investor buyer who's going to be fixing it up and taking care of all that. It's not a lease option. It's contract for deed. Does that summarize it pretty well?
Yep. When my son is 15 and a half, he will be making $20,000 a month in positive cash flow, passive.
Did you guys hear that? Rewind a little bit. Press the backward skip button. When he is 15 or 16, he's going to have over $20,000 in passive income. You don't have to pay for his college.
Needless to say, I will not be paying for his college. Correct.
And did you use any of your own money?
Zero. No money. That's why
buy those houses.
Yeah. Nope. No money at all.
Are you teaching him how to find them himself? Or are you finding them for him?
He is just now. It's interesting that you say that, because he's just now really getting interested in real estate. For years, he was always saying he wanted to be a baseball player or a football player like every kid does. And I'm not going to do real estate. Real estate's boring. Now, when he tells that same story, he's like, well, I'm going to be a baseball player and do real estate. I'm going to be this and do real estate. And if all else fails, I'm going to do real estate. And I'm just like, oh, now you want to do real estate? He's like, well, I still want to be rich. And it's funny the way he says it now. He's like, now, no matter what I do, I'm also doing real estate. And
that's good.
It's pretty funny the way he's changed as he starts to see the numbers and see the differences in other people's lives.
That's awesome. All right. So let's get into this, Scott. Apologize for the long announcement and review type thing that we did there, but I think it's real important. I wanted to put this out there to a podcast audience and YouTube and all my different Facebook groups and stuff. So hello, everybody.
Hello.
This is day 5. And if you want to see the other videos, it might be too late, but we'll see. Maybe we'll do something like this again real soon. I think we will. This is really good. What are you going to share today, Scott?
Well, so what I wanted to share today, I was going to start off with sharing some videos I promised you guys I was going to show you of one that I purchased. I think I told you about it. I purchased it for $18,000. I don't remember the numbers, but I'm sure I say it in the video. And then I sold it to an investor that day. And I sold this one cheap. I think it was like $59,000 or something. But again, the numbers will be in the video. But I came back after the fact. He texted me that it's all done. And I said, oh, I'm in the area. Would you mind if I come take a look? And so he was there. So I got to do a video of the inside after he renovated it and kind of ask him some questions, although he got a little camera shy, but all of a sudden he didn't remember how to speak. But I did get to ask him some questions and get the take on it from a buyer side. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, you're just taking advantage of buyers. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. They're making a killing off of our deals. We're making our money. They're making their money. Nobody's getting taken advantage of. Everybody is contributing something, and everybody is adding value and getting paid for their work.
Nice.
And then I wanted to get into raising private money. It's the key to this whole industry. Everybody says, well, I can't do it because I don't have the money. And I'm going to show you today on how we raise the money, how you do it with absolutely no money, and how you can do it without ever having the fear of being rejected, which is the biggest fear people have. So I got a text. Well, actually, my wife got a text last night with someone she was talking to that was saying, oh, I wanted to do this, but I contacted my broker and they said the mortgage companies won't give loans under $100,000. And I'm like, we don't use mortgage companies. And they said, well, there's a list of private lenders, but they have criteria. And that's why I wanted to clarify this for you guys. When I say private lender, there is no list of them. These are people we're creating. There is not a list of these people. We're cultivating them, training them, and creating them. They're our lender. They're private to us. There is no list of them. We're not going to some database and getting other people's lenders, and we're not going to banks and getting mortgages. We are cultivating these lenders and training them to be our lender and our lender alone.
That's good.
I'm sorry, I know I'm ranting, but I wanted to answer that because it was a question that came up last night.
Nice. And when you share your video screen here, don't forget to press that little checkbox for sharing your audio.
I'm a tech guy. You know that.
You know that. You're a great tech guy.
All right. You ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to, first off, let me see if I can figure out how to share screen once again. Share sound, optimize clip, day 5. Share.
You know you got it. Oh, there he is. Beautiful.
All right. Well, now I lost everything else, though.
We see your slides. Day 5.
See my slides? Well, that's all that matters then, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hang on one second. All right. So you guys can see that?
Yeah, we see a slide.
All right. I see it. All right. So I'm going to start off with just showing you guys some videos, and I believe I shared the sound. So this first one, just to give you a little background on this particular house, I bought this house from another wholesaler. And I think I told you guys this story already, but there's new people on here today. So I bought this from another wholesaler who advertised it in one of the local wholesaling groups. Well, he put it out and he put out his information, and the people on the group blasted him, which is why I tell you, these houses are in real estate purgatory. Nobody wants them. And yet it's a money machine for us. So they blasted him, and they were basically, why don't you get a real deal? Nobody's going to buy that. What a piece of crap. All this negative stuff about him. And when I finally called him, he was like, yeah, it's still available. Sure. Come on out. And I read all the comments of all the nasty stuff people were saying. And then you're going to see how we ended up turning this turd into a gem and turned it into cash flow for us. So this is the first one I'm going to show you. Hopefully the sound comes through.
How you doing, everybody? I am Scott Jelnick with the Master Investor Academy, and I just wanted to give you a small case study on a slow flip. I found this one to be interesting because it is in pretty bad condition. It's not horrible, but it's pretty bad. But I just wanted to tell you the numbers and run it through it real quick. So this house was an inheritance. I purchased it for $17,000. The owners, there was 4 sisters who inherited it. They ended up having a ton of judgments and liens, medical bills from the person they inherited it from. They ended up having to bring $178 to closing to be able to sell it. So I purchased this home. I borrowed $17,000 when I bought it. My monthly payment on a 5-year mortgage is $378. I have someone on their way right now to do paperwork, somebody who's buying it from me. I just bought this Friday, so this is 3 days after I bought it. Somebody's coming to purchase this from me right now, completely as is. I haven't done anything, for $49,000 with $2,000 down and $549 a month. Only they're purchasing it for 30 years. And my payment on it is for 5 years. So I know I try and go over this a lot with you guys, but I want you to understand the magnificent dynamic of this entire process. So I want to answer a few questions for you. Some people say to me, well, how do you come up with that price? Why would anyone pay $49,000 if you were able to get it for $17,000? And the only thing I can always go back to tell people, I said, you know, you go to Sam's Club and you see a case of water, 36 bottles for $3.99. They're 10 cents a bottle. You go to Subway and buy a sandwich, that same bottle of water is $1.79. How do they get away with selling it for $1.79 and yet it's 10 cents at Sam's Club? It's simple. If you don't want it, don't buy it. Go to Sam's Club and buy it. Well, that's the same thing with my houses. If somebody doesn't want to pay $49, they don't have to. If someone doesn't want to pay $89, they don't have to. Go somewhere else. Someone is going to pay my asking price. My contractor who's buying this is actually on his way right now, and he's going to buy it as is. He's going to renovate the entire house, and then he's going to keep it as a rental. It's a win for him because he didn't have the cash to pay for it, and it's a win for me. So I hope this video helps you. I just wanted to give you a short case study on exactly how these slow flip deals work because everybody is constantly always asking me. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel, click the like button, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.
The reason I want to address one thing, the reason these prices are lower than I've talked about is because first off, this house was in bad condition, which you're going to see in just a second. Second of all, a friend of mine who's also a lender was with me when I went on the appointment to look at it. And normally I borrow 30 on every house, but this one, he was like, well, I'll fund it for you. I'll fund the 17 for you. So I was like, sure. So my payment was so low, it was in mid 300s. And then this guy I sold it to was a regular buyer of mine. He has like 7 or 8. And I knew that if I sell to him, it's going to be a brand new house when he's done. And so I'm going to show you the condition, and then I'm going to show you what he did with it. And I'm going to skip through this so you don't have to see the whole thing.
It's missing a window up there. These windows down here are shattered.
What a beautiful house.
Coming around the backyard, we are fully fenced in. There's a little chain linked fence, 4 foot tall. It's broken down back here. While I am out in the backyard, I'll show you this. This cuff, as you see, there's a big hole missing in through here. Door to here, so you could drive a car in here once you fix the roof. So let's go inside and take a quick look. This is the back patio. You do have a large porch. Our stove is on the back porch. It probably is not operable. Coming in through the back door, the first thing we have right here is going to be our hot water heater. And right here, this is our kitchen. So you see there's nice vinyl flooring. There's paint on the walls, so blue paint. This needs to be cleaned up. So this kitchen is going to need your fridge, a stove, possibly a dishwasher if needed. You have your washer and dryer hookups right here in the kitchen. So this is your kitchen right here. You have these nice cabinets. This house is a handyman special, so it is going to need some work, as you see. Nothing too crazy, just some minor stuff. So I'll start from the front of the house. This is your living room right here. Nice green painted walls. There's hardwood floors throughout this home. There's no carpets. That's always a plus. None of that nasty carpet. So you have these nice green key lime walls. Now this is your dining room. It has nice light yellow walls. They could use a good painting, but actually looks like they're freshly painted within the last few years.
He is forever the optimist.
So coming down this way, so you can bring us to our bedrooms and our bathrooms. First, to the right, we have our first bedroom. It's hardwood floors as well. It is painted a nice blue. It looks like there's a fresh coat of paint on the wall, so it's in very good condition. To the left, we have our linen closet right here.
I'm just skipping a little bit because this is
There's
a full
blue
walk
paint
through
on the
the
walls.
cell.
It looks like there is some holes in the ceiling. They've been taped up and bagged on top of them. If you're an older person that struggle with stairs, this house probably won't be for you. These stairs are very steep. So going upstairs, there's a missing window right here. Some side paneling missing on the inside. So let's go to left, right. Let's go left first. To the left, this is our third bedroom. It's in good condition. Looks like it's in very good condition. Right there. Wood paneling floors all around. A nice kitty cat puzzle poster right here.
All right, guys. So
I'm not here to say Newport.
So that is the gist. So you guys got the gist of the condition, right? It was, I would say, deplorable condition. Everybody agree with that? Clearly, you know, a homeowner wasn't moving in there. It needed to be an investor, and that was the condition of the properties. That's why I sold it at a good price, to make sure it works for my buyer, it works for me, and everybody makes money in the process. And now I'm just going to show you a quick what it looked like after the fact. So
using private and talk inexpensively, and so I ended up purchasing it. His own cruise to the Auburn game and like a look at the inside. As if he does not, is from my side, we'll film the inside of the house and interview him, and then I'm going to connect these two videos together. Talk to you in a minute.
All right, here we go. So this is what
this is the exterior of the house. You can see pretty much everything's brand new. Paint, paint, windows, roof. And you didn't see it before, but there was fallen trees everywhere, and everything looks brand new. Let me take you. All right, guys, so now we are inside of the house. This is Sergio, who bought the house and did all the work. Say hello, Sergio.
Hello.
So, and now I didn't, unfortunately, he got it the very day we got it, so I didn't get to do a video of the inside before, but I can tell you everything was completely trashed. You did absolutely everything, correct?
Yes.
Everything, is there anything you kept? Everything. Windows, floor, cabinets, obviously countertop, appliances. Tell them, take a quick tour of the house. Do you have anything to tell them about it? Tell them something. How long did it take you to do the work? You've been working on it for a little bit.
I don't know, maybe 1 month.
1 month?
Yeah.
And what's your plan with it?
And
To rent it? Because I know you have 3. This is your 3rd or 4th.
maybe it's the rent to my guys. I'm not sure now.
Rent it to you guys?
Guy working for me.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right, so let's do a quick tour of the property. As you can see, it's like a brand new house. You've literally done everything. This is, I mean, it's just beautiful. So, I mean, yeah, there's closets there. Everything is brand new. Man, I'm impressed.
You guys remember what it looked like before, right?
Yeah. You look this.
It's amazing.
Whoa! Wow.
Do you know how much you put into the house to fix it up?
I don't, but I would have to say at least 30 grand.
Half-bath upstairs, right?
Well, he's using his own crews, and he has a construction company, so he might be using materials from other jobs. I don't know, but I would say at least 30 grand.
Oh yeah, this was a wall.
Yeah, you look the job.
Oh, did we lose you, Scott? Or just the video stopped?
There it goes.
Wow. Closer here. One closer here.
So again, this is an investor who bought this house to fix it up as a long-term investment and rents it out to good tenants, right?
Yeah, so he did all of this work. Everything was on his own dollar.
Yeah.
He did all of this.
That's crazy.
So I drive by my houses all the time, and I see construction crews there, and I'm always like, it just warms my heart. I'm like, they're all there working on my house.
All right, so what I wanted to show you guys was basically from Sergio's perspective, a slow flip. Because you guys always hear from my perspective, but this is your, how many do you have now? 4, 3, 4, 5? 4. So he has 4 of them right now. And so from your perspective, is this something that you like, something that you're looking to do more of?
The interesting thing is, Sergio speaks perfect English, and when the camera came out, it was like he got camera shy, and it was like,
So, but you're happy. You're happy.
Yes.
That's what we're looking for. Is happy. Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to share with you the slow flip from the buyer's perspective.
All right, that's all I wanted to share. I wanted to let you see what it looked like before. Why would I buy that deplorable looking thing for $17,000, and then how we made money on it. And now I just get paid every single month. He pays me, I think it was $575, and my payment was $360. But his is for 30 years, mine was for 5 years. So does everybody got that or understand the dynamic? That's where we're making our money. It's not making them. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, and he's still making cash flow on that deal.
Oh yeah, he's probably getting $1,100-$1,200 a month for it now.
And he's paying you how much?
I think he's paying me $550 or $575. I think I said it in the first video.
Now, do you see how everybody wins, right? Scott wins. He's getting cash. You've paid this house off, Scott?
Yeah, and I didn't, keep in mind also, I didn't market for this house. I didn't go on appointments. This was another investor who got it from his marketing and couldn't get rid of it. This is where we get them from. I know we already talked about this, but the majority of our deals come from other wholesalers, and they get these deals that everyone considers to be a crappy deal, and they can't turn a profit with it, and they're desperate to get rid of it. And then we're the only ones that have a program where we can take those diamonds in the rough and turn them into cash flow.
Yeah, very good. Cool.
All right. So now I wanted to talk about raising money, and I just wanted to show those videos because I know I got a lot of questions. One other question I wanted to address is somebody was asking me a bunch of questions in reference to rentals. And I wanted to make it clear, these are not rentals. These are rentals, but not yours. They're, like in this case, they're Sergio's rentals. They're not my rentals. I'm strictly shuffling paper. I have paperwork with my lender, and I have paperwork with him. I collect a check, I pay out a check, and then in 5 years, I just keep the checks. But these are not rentals. So your rental questions don't apply. This is his rental. Sergio has it as a rental. but it's not our rental. So I just wanted to make sure to clarify that. So I wanted to talk to you briefly about hard money and private money. And hard money, we're not going to get into, but I want to still address it to eliminate your confusion, if you have any, as to thinking that that's what I mean when we talk about private lenders, because it's not. So hard money, typically you're going to use for rehabbing. That's what you're going to use if you were going to buy a house and you wanted to pay cash, renovate it, and put it back on the market. Pros of hard money, it's very easy to get. You don't qualify, the house qualifies, same as with private money. You generally can close in as little as a week. It enables you to scale without capping your funds, and it enables you to do deals with no money. The big con with hard money is it's expensive, but it's worth it. You know, hard money lenders can be very expensive. The big difference between a hard money lender and a private lender, and I want to make sure to address it, is a hard money lender is in the business of lending money. Okay, that's what he does for a living. He lends money. A private lender is going to be just a guy. It could be a guy just like, you know these people. They have 50, 100, 300, 500 grand in their retirement or in the bank, and they're earning 8%, 1%, or have it in the stock market where now everybody's preparing. We're going to talk about that in a second. Everybody's preparing for a downturn. Wouldn't it be nice to take these gains we've made these last couple of years, 20+% a year, and now take it off the table, put it in something secure? So that's what a private lender is, just a guy just like you or I that has money he wants to make a return on. Hard money lenders are in the business of lending money. The big difference is hard money lenders, they call the shots. Private lenders, you're creating your program. You're telling them what your program is. Big tip with all lenders. I know we've heard this before. I talk about it in wholesaling. I talk about it in rehabbing, and it's definitely true with lenders. Never count the money in another man's pocket or woman's pocket. And what I mean by that is sometimes people don't want to do deals because they're mad on how much someone else is making. Don't worry about how much someone else is making. Only worry about the only number that matters to you is how much are you making. So I know we're not talking about rehabbing and we're not talking about hard money, but I wanted to just share this last tip with you. What if a hard money lender turns you down? The simple answer is, remember, they're in business to loan money. They only make money if, in fact, they lend you money, right? So if they turn you down, that means they've deemed this deal not a good deal. So if they turn you down, don't search for a new lender, search for a new deal. And I hope that makes sense. That one sentence alone is going to save somebody from making a bad deal. So what is a private lender? What private money is? A private lender is completely different. A private lender is just you. It's somebody like you. It could be your mailman. It could be your dentist. It could be somebody at a local restaurant. It's absolutely anybody that just has money they want to make a return on. It's very, very similar in the sense that there is no bank involved. There is no corporate structure involved. It is just a person who wants to lend money. With hard money, the lender is in business. So he sets the criteria, he sets the rate, he sets his terms, right? With private money, you're setting everything. You create your program and you're soliciting for that program. You're saying, and we're going to talk about it in a second, but there's opportunity to make X% for X amount of time, not asking on what someone is willing to do. Does that make sense to everybody? We're not asking, we set the terms. So benefits of private money, obviously, you know these already. First off, longer terms, because again, we're setting the terms. Hard money, typically, if you go to a hard money lender, typically they want to give you 6 months. 6 months is generally the max. With private money, you're setting the terms. So it enables you to do whatever fits into your box. I know private money lenders who do 30-year terms, and it's insane to me that they would do that. I do 5-year terms, as you know. We're going to talk about that. Lower rates. Why is it lower rates? Because again, we are setting the terms. So I still pay 12% to my private lenders. I do that because I have a great dynamic going with them, and I have more or less unlimited money for my local people. But if I was new, if I was you and I was going to start raising money now, you don't have to start there. You can start, you don't have to do my program. You can start at 9%, 8%, 6% and see how it goes. You don't have to go in the high level like that. The reason I went so high is I started this in 2011 and there was an abundance of properties and I wanted to make sure I had an abundance of lenders and I got them. And my plan always was, well, once I start having more money available, then I have properties available, then I'll start going back to them and lowering the rate. I never did. And the reason I never did was because I don't actually pay it. My buyer pays it. And so it was almost a non-issue for me. The house was free to me. and I didn't really care. And now most of my lenders, I have so many more lenders now, but they've all stemmed from referrals from my existing lenders. So because of that, I didn't want to go, well, yeah, you're getting 8%, but your friend's getting 12%. So I pay everybody the same. But that's just me. When you're starting out, you're going to raise your own money. You do not have to pay the same rates that I pay.
And let's put this in perspective too. I mean, if you talk about the difference, this is why it's so easy for Scott to raise private money. He says, I'll pay you 12%, right? In 5 years. And if you think 12%, that's ridiculous. Well, the difference when you're only borrowing 30 grand, the difference between 8% and 12% is only like $50 a month. It's not that much. It's not that big of a deal. And you're not even paying it. Your end buyer, investor buyer is paying it.
Yeah. When you're bored one day, play with an amortization calculator. Now, if you're on a 30-year mortgage, it's a huge, huge difference in your payment. When you're on a 5-year mortgage, it's tiny. It almost is irrelevant. And yet it attracts the lender so much that they're just so excited about it. I've only had one lender I had lunch with once turn me down. And I don't know if I told you guys this story already. So he actually was a big money guy, had a ton of money. I was excited to be meeting with him. He was a referral from one of my other lenders. And he said he had to think about it. And then we talked maybe a week or two later. And his reason for turning me down, which it's funny, but you can't argue it, is he said, he said, it's just too good to be true. Nobody can pay 12%. And that was his reason. And you can't argue with it because I never try to convince anybody of anything. And he just said, the old saying, if something's too good to be true, it probably is. And he said, it's too good to be true. Nobody can pay 12%. And my friend who referred him, every year, he shows him when he does his taxes. He's like, look, I made 86,000 in interest this year from Scott's program. I made 82,000 in interest. He shows him every year. So he knows it's real now, but now it's like, well, it's already been 7-8 years since he first said no. So he's not going to start now. But I've never had anyone else turn me down, just that one. And his reason was ironic. It was that it was too good to be true, which made me think if I had offered him 5% interest, he probably would have said yes. So how do we find private lenders? This is going to be very, very basic and simple. I'm going to show you how to find them, and I'm going to show you how to never get rejected by them. But I want you to understand, when I show you how to find them, the first thoughts out of your head are going to be the voices that are untrue. And you need to accept that now, because I've done this. I work with a lot of my people that I work with, I work personally with. So I know the ins and outs of their business, because like those of you who join me in my coaching program, you'll know we work together personally, right? So I'm going to know who you talk to, what their responses are. I'm going to know everything about you. Well, through my experience from all the other people I've worked with, there's money in everybody's circle. Everybody starts off by telling me, well, that's easy for you. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody with money. And then I'll give them a list of talk to this, and this. And next thing you know, they're like, well, I'll be, yep, I got money lined up, and every single time. So we're going to start off with how to find your private money lender. You start enthusiastically with friends and family. And that's where I was just going with that. And the first thing you're thinking is, nobody in my family, none of my friends have any money. That's okay. They don't even have to have any money. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's where we're starting, but they do not have any money. You're still going to start. We have a process. You just follow the process. That's all. Networking. The money is out there. Let everybody know what you do. Just like when we got into real estate investing in general, I'm always wearing a We Buy Houses shirt. It's on the back of the shirt I'm wearing now, or if I'm wearing a polo, it's in the front. I have shoes that say We Buy Houses. I'm always We Buy Houses, right? We got to let everybody know what it is that we do.
By the way, Scott,
yes.
Do you have those shoes? Can you show us?
They're not in this office. They are in my house, though. I can run after. And
I wear a size 9.5, 10. If you get some extras, will you please send me some?
Yes,
I'll pay you for them.
I actually might have a picture on here. I could pull up and show you.
These are so funny.
So I'm constantly, We Buy Houses is constantly in everything that I do. I've made it part of, it's part of my life. I want to make sure everybody knows. Here we go. I'm not sure. I can't see. So can you see that?
They're yellow.
Are you able to see or no?
It's okay. Maybe you can post a picture in the Facebook group.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I'll do. So I'll post the picture in the Facebook group. There we go. I'm going to do it right now. Hang on. You guys aren't in a rush, right? We got all day. No, I'm just kidding. I got an hour. I'll do it in a second. So I'm constantly letting people know I buy houses. That's what makes me the We Buy Houses guy. Even though we all are, people don't know that. They believe oh, you're the We Buy Houses guy. And I'm like, yes, I am. So anyway, so people are intrigued by real estate investors, everybody. And when I say everybody, not just you guys who are watching this, I'm talking about your dentist, your doctor, your mailman, everybody is intrigued by it and thinking, I always wanted to do real estate investing, or I always wanted to flip a house, or they always wanted to be involved in some way with real estate. And when they find out that that's what you do, it excites them. So I don't ask for anything. People are excited when they find out. Everybody has to know what it is that you do. Okay. So build relationships. This is not something where you meet somebody and you're like, hey, you want to give me money? And then you never see them again. It's a lifelong process. My lenders that I have now, I started cultivating lenders in 2011. All of my lenders I have now, I still have from 2011, but all of the branches off that expanded are from those original lenders. And it's funny the way it goes, because they will actually ask, do you think he'll take on another lender? My lenders will call and it'll be like, well, I hope I'm not spiting myself, but I got a friend who also wants to get into it. Do you have enough? Because they don't want to spite themselves and thinking they're going to cut off their ability to loan more. And then they'll refer me into another friend. And it's so easy once it's coming from one of their friends who's been doing it for a year or two or three. Then there is no building trust. They automatically trust because their friend has already been doing it. So you build relationships. And let me tell you something, and you may think, well, I'm not doing all that. I have actual relationships with my lenders to the point where, like, we've gone away. We've gone on trips to the Bahamas. I've gone to Jamaica with one of my lenders and his family. We've gone to casino trips. You managing their money, you get to know them really well. I've definitely built relationships with all of my lenders where, we know each other well, and they don't only loan to me, they loan to coaching students. And so I review the deals for them. And so there's a huge level of trust. So I want you to make sure you understand that this is not, you're just going to meet somebody and transact paper. This is building a relationship. It's huge, huge important, because even if they only have a limited amount, let's say they only had 100 grand and they were going to do 3 deals with you at 30 each. As that money comes in, it's going to replenish itself and they're going to be able to reallocate it out to another loan. So you're going to continue that forever. And, and you're going to keep giving them a 12% return. They're going to keep making more money on their money. And it's a long-term relationship.
Scott, I know a guy who, when he was raising a lot of money for some deals that he was working on, he would actually go to the nicest part of town, to the coffee shop, and he would actually work in that coffee shop. And he would do all of his phone calls there, and he would call up his friends, even if he had no reason to talk, but he would call and talk. And he's kind of loud, but he would talk so other people could hear him. And he would talk about, I think he's a mutual friend of ours, but anyway, he would say, hey, yeah, I'm working on this deal. I'm paying my private investors 10%. It's secured with the property, so they're totally safe, and I got people banging down my doors, begging to let me borrow money because these deals are so good, just kind of talking business about his private investors. And he said, and he would go to like the nicer areas where there's people working, and sitting around or whatever. He said every time he'd do that, somebody would walk by his table and give him a business card as they're walking out. Give me a call about that private money thing you got doing or whatever, So it's talking about it. It's letting people know what you do. And it's not like you're begging for money, if you just, and when you're talking to people about it, you're like, we do these deals, we pay our private investors, and we get great returns, and it's great. I got a lot of people interested in it. You're not asking, you're just telling them what you do. And then you say, hey, what do you do? Right.
Right. I actually we're going to get into that. I have a whole presentation, a system for how we do exactly what you just said, Joe. So brag book. So you're not going to have this on day one when you start, but as you start doing deals, it is critically important that it's so easy with today's technology too, that you start taking pictures and video, but the video wouldn't be in your book. Take pictures of your befores, your afters. You can take pictures of the guy you sold it to. You put your lender, you can put your lender's actual information with their permission, that who funded it and how much in the terms of the deal, with their permission. Because my lenders actually agreed to be references for my other lenders. We actually do it for my coaching students too, where my coaching students, when they're raising money, I'll get on a 3-way call with them to talk to the potential lender. But sometimes they don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from other people that have been doing this for 10 years. And so my lenders have agreed to let potential lenders call them as a reference to discuss how it works and discuss how everything's been going. And so you want to put down their information in there and show them the actual properties. It's important to show the properties because, like I just showed you guys that video of what the house looks like. I paid $17,000 for that house. Now, I don't know where you guys are located in the country, but I know a lot of you were Colorado, California, Seattle, in New York, areas where you're not buying anything for $17,000. I want you to keep in mind, $17,000 is less than a Honda Accord, right? And so people are thinking $17,000, what am I getting? 4 sheets of plywood and a tarp on the roof? So it's important that you show them pictures and a price. Nope, this is what it is. I paid 17 for. This is what it looks like now. I never borrowed more than the 17, but yep, this is what it looks like. Yep, brand new granite, brand new hardwood, brand new AC units, brand new roof. But I only have 17. My lender is, how protected is my lender? He has a mortgage for 17,000 on that, and look at what it looks like now. If anybody ever defaulted, he's in a way better position than if they didn't default, which is something I tell my lenders. We'll talk about that in a minute. So your brag book is very important. The next thing is your elevator pitch. And this is critically important. If you don't get this down, you're going to be working for them. So the elevator pitch isn't like you typically have been taught with an elevator pitch on you have to be able to say in 30 seconds what you do, although it is. But what I mean by elevator pitch is I want you to create your program. And your program might be $50,000. And $50,000 at 6% for 5 years. Your program might be minus 30,000 at 12% for 5 years. Your program is what you're presenting, your program. You never want to go into a meeting with a lender and say, well, what kind of terms do you want? What kind of rate do you want to charge me? What would make you happy? You don't want to do any of that. You want to say, this is what it is. You either fit into my box or you don't, but this is what I do. I borrow 30,000 on a 60-month mortgage at 12% interest. That's it. There is no conversation of, oh, well, I'll do it for 14%. Nope, that's not even a conversation. We're telling them what we do. They fall into our box. We're not falling into their box. I hope that makes sense for everybody. It is really important. And when you're brand new, people are afraid to do that because they're like, well, I just want a lender. I don't care what he charges. I don't care. You do care because it's going to be, not only are you going to get more lenders, it's going to be easier to get lenders when you have a program. So you want to create your program. That's what I call your elevator pitch. It's you creating your program. What you do. I help people place their money in highly performing assets secured by real estate. People ask what you do. That's a great answer. I help people place their money in high performing assets secured by real estate. Really? Tell me more about that. I mean, it's depending on your conversation, who you're talking to, it's a great thing to say. And then you can get into the way it works, but you create your program. Don't let them create the program. We're not asking them questions. We're telling them what our program is. Even if you're brand new and you've never borrowed a dollar before, you have to create your program. I want to put one note on here that it's illegal to publicly raise money without creating a private placement memorandum or going through a ton of expenses and a ton of hoops. I've done this in the past. I hated it. I don't do anything with that anymore. I strictly place one lender into one house. I don't mix people's money. And you can't go on the radio and say, hey, I'm looking for lenders. You can't. People do it on Facebook. You see it all the time, but they're not allowed to. You're not allowed to go on there and say, hey, I'm looking for lenders who want to raise money. There are ways to get around it. There's ways that you can make a post, but you can't just go out and raise money publicly. You're allowed to raise money from anybody you have conversations with, any kind of relationship at all, but you're not allowed to publicly broadcast that you're trying to raise money without being a private placement memorandum. So I hope.
Hey, Scott, what do you think about doing some kind of video or podcast or talking about it at a real estate club meeting or something, saying, hey, listen, I'm looking for somebody to partner with me on some deals. And you could position it as at the beginning of like, I'll partner with you on a deal. I'll pay you either 12% over 5 years, or I'll give you 12% of the profits. You know what I mean?
There's ways, and we've talked about this before, Joe, at our mastermind meeting. There's ways to do it publicly where you're not offering it to them, which is what we're kind of going to get into in just a minute.
Yeah,
where you're not offering it to them. I just wanted to put that out there to let you know that don't you go start putting Facebook posts out there, say, hey, I'm raising money at 12%, because you could raise red flags, and it could be a violation if somebody was to look at you. we're tiny, nobody really ever looks at us, but you still want to make sure everything is by the book, so you don't take that chance. All right, so you can, if you were to do a PPM, a private placement memorandum is very expensive to set up. I spent almost 30 grand getting mine done, and I hated it after I started raising money because there's so much regulation, so much reporting, so much red tape that I quickly shut it all down. And I said, you know what, I'm just going back to one lender, one house. But that's up to you. If you're an organized person and want to try and raise money as a fund, that's how you would go about doing it. So now I want to get into the most important thing, how to never get rejected. This is really, really important because guess what? It's going to stop you from talking to anybody. Fear of rejection. So earlier I said, what did I tell you? I said, start with friends and family enthusiastically. Well, you kind of already know when you speak to them, they're going to tell you no, right? So guess what happens to you then? You're like, why am I going to waste my time? They're going to tell me no anyway, or they have no money anyway. They're going to laugh at me. They're going to tell me no. And so you're just not going to do it. Ask me how I know. I work with a bunch of people and I have to push them through this. So we came up with a program, a system for you to be able to do this without ever being rejected. Once we eliminate that fear of you being rejected, you're empowered now to talk to everybody because nobody can reject you. So we're going to get into exactly how to do that. And I want you to pay attention to this because it's real important that this is the way you go about it. When you don't fear rejection, you're going to ask 10 times the amount of people you used to do, okay? Because you don't have it. So first off, how do you not get rejected asking anybody for money? Is you never ask someone if they want to lend you money. That sounds easy enough. They can't say no if you didn't ask them, right? So we never ask somebody if they want to lend you money. Instead, we offer an opportunity. We offer an opportunity, we don't ask. So we never ask somebody if they want to lend money. No, we have an opportunity to earn X return on their money. So follow me along though, because there's a lot more to it than that. So we don't ask, we offer, and we're offering an opportunity to make 6%, 10%, 12% return on their money. However, to take it a step further, we're not asking them. This is why they could never tell you no. We are not asking them. We're asking if they know somebody who would be interested in making a 12% return on their money secured by real estate. Follow what I'm saying here. So say you are talking to friends or family or whoever, and you found, you're lining up money or you found deals where you want to invest. You're asking them if they know somebody who might be interested in making a 12% return or 10%, whatever your program is, backed by real estate. It's a no-brainer, but I know you know a lot of people, not you, not you. And I'm always clear on telling people, well, not you. You're into a bunch of, you're doing that crypto thing, or you're doing your own deals or whatever. Not you, but I know people. You know anybody who's looking to be, would be looking to make 12%. Now, really, we are pitching them, but they can't reject us because we're never talking to them. We're always saying, do you know somebody who might be interested in making 12% return on their money backed by real estate? And and then I'll even say the words. I'll say, well, not you, because I know you're into all kinds of other stuff. And but I know you might know people that have money sitting around or want to get it out of the stock market. There is no question we are hitting a peak. There's no question. Everybody knows. And so the question is, people don't want to pull out because they're like, well, what if it goes for another year, right? Or what if it doesn't crash as hard as they thought? Well, if you can take that money out now that you've made 20% on for the last couple of years and secure it at 12%. So when it does come down, you're not going to be in that volatility. That's pretty strong. That's really strong. And so that's the way you go about it, is you never ask them to loan you money. We offer an opportunity, but we do not offer it to them. We always offer it to, do they know somebody who might be interested in this opportunity? Then we wait for the inevitable response, which is, well, why don't you tell me about it? I might be interested. And then I play it off just like we do on the buy call, which we never discuss the buy call on this because this is only Slowflips, but we play it off to, no, but not you. I know you're into a whole bunch of other stuff, but and almost make them beg. No, but I might be interested in something like that. Yeah, not, I wasn't really even thinking you. I was thinking, I know people into a law firm or wherever. And so now you've maintained your power, your position of power. You're not asking, they're asking you. They're almost to the point where they're like, please tell me, I want to do it. So you have to flip it on its head. You want to maintain the position of power so you don't have that feeling of you're sitting there, would you please loan me money, right? You don't want to be in that position. If you feel that way, you're never going to do it. So you want to always maintain your position. Does that make sense to everybody? You want to maintain your position of power. So you're offering an opportunity, and it is an opportunity. I got guys, and when I was saying before that they're their CPA, or they were showing it to their friend that they're making 80 grand a year in interest. Those are real numbers. I got private lenders that are making a lot of money from myself and from my people just in interest, because they keep cycling through these slow flips. They love it. You know, it's interesting when, you know, some people have this belief in their life that when you win, someone else has to lose, right? That's not the case. When we do these deals, who won? I'm going to use this last deal as a for instance that I just showed you the video of. The wholesaler who sold it, well, first off, the seller who couldn't get out of it had to bring $180. Otherwise, they were getting a foreclosure on their credit. They won. They got to get out of that disastrous property. The wholesaler, who everybody made fun of him and, oh, you're never going to sell it, get a real deal. He only made $2,000 on it, but he still made $2,000. He won. My private lender who funded the deal, he made 12% interest on his money. He won. I bought it for 17 grand and sold it for 49,000 or 59,000. I don't remember. I won in 30 years worth of payments. The guy I sold it to renovated it, and he's probably making $500, $600, $700 a month cash flow right now and has equity in the property. He won. Everybody in the transaction won. So don't be of the mindset in order for you to win, someone else has to lose. We try and always do business where everybody involved wins. Okay. So you're offering an opportunity. You're not asking. You're never going to be out there with your hands. Would you please loan me money? I need this deal. You're never going to be in that position. Always maintain that you're offering an opportunity. You're not offering it to them. You're asking if they know somebody who might be interested in earning a X return, whatever you decide on, backed by real estate. And so it's really important. So where do you go? Everybody, every single one of you who is listening right now has a lender right now in their circle. Right now, today, you have a lender in your circle. And it may not be the actual person you're thinking. It could be one of them or one of their friends or family who's looking for somebody. So family and friends are going to be your first, coworkers, your CPA. Your CPA understands math, understands everything, all the dynamics of what's going on. Lawyers, one of my very first, I'll tell you, I'm going to ramble on again, I'm sorry, but my very first lender was a lady who owns a club in the area. When I say a club, it's a private club, not like a nightclub. A private club, you go to lunch and have meetings, and I've been a member there since she opened. And I was talking to her, and I legitimately wasn't asking her to be a lender. I was asking her if she can set me up with people in the club that might be interested in it. And it's kind of how I learned this. Everything I teach, I learned, the hard way. Well, anyway, so after I was going through the whole process with her, she turned around to me and was like, well, what about me? Can I do it? And I was like, well, yeah. And I didn't pitch it that way intentionally. It turned out that way. And so she was my very first lender. My second lender was my attorney. My attorney, because he saw the deals, and then I talked to him in the same way. And I was like, hey, I'm doing this new program. I'm trying to raise money. And what did he say to me? Well, would you let me be one of your lenders? And that's the position you want to be in, where you're not asking anything. They're asking you, would you accept me? Would you let me be one of the guys who are going to make 12%? So it's really important to me that I transition that part of your brain that transitions you from thinking that you're there with your hands out as, oh, please give me some money, to you're the gatekeeper with the key to 12% returns. They're asking you, would you let me be part of your program? Okay. Coworkers, CPA, lawyer, landscaper, mailman, the guy, I have people out here pressure washing my house right now. And it's somebody, if I wasn't sitting here with you, I would make mention of something. You never know. People have money sitting there, and they need to deploy it and make a return. They need to turn around and get a return on their money. And 12%, again, that's what I offer. 12% is a great return. Secured by real estate. There's people who offer all kinds of crazy returns out there, but it's always like, well, if everything goes good, you're going to make X amount, but it's not actually secured by anything. These people are secured by a note and deed of trust, the exact same documents that a bank has when they loan money on a mortgage. The exact same documents, a note and deed of trust secured against the property. So one last thing I want to mention on this, because we're not doing Q&A yet. So one last thing I want to mention is, if somebody was to ask you, how are they protected, or what's a good question that I'll get often from people is, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's my risk? What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm going to tell you exactly how I typically answer this. I typically say the worst thing that can happen is that I pay you perfectly and you only make 12%. How do you like that for an answer? The worst thing that can happen is I pay you perfectly. Why is that the worst thing? Because first of all, these houses aren't worth 30 grand. You just saw in the video, that one wasn't worth 17. We sold it for 59. they're worth significantly more, especially after they're renovated and put on the market. But I only owe 30. Well, that one I only owed 17 on. So the worst thing that can happen is that I pay perfectly and they only earn 12%. The best thing that can happen to him is I have it for a year or two and defaulted, and then he was able to take possession of the property or have a foreclosure auction and get significantly more. So it's a really strong position. We've never had any of our people be even one day late. I'm very good with all my my coaching clients as well as ourselves. We make sure everything goes out on the first. But I always tell them the worst thing that can happen to you is I pay perfectly. It's a strong answer to give to your lenders. Strong answer. So write that down. When you're afraid, they're going to say to you, you know, well, what's my downside? What's the worst thing that can happen? You can say, well, the worst thing that can happen is I pay you perfectly and you only make the 12% we agreed on. All right, that's all I wanted to share with you on raising private money. I hope that by hearing this now, it opens up the little part in your brain to think that it's not some mystical thing. You're not out there begging. You're not asking people to do you a favor. You are offering the opportunity. You're the gatekeeper to huge returns, to 12% returns. You are the gatekeeper to that. So I want to make sure I get that through your head and transition your thinking, because there's plenty of money out there. I remember when I used to think, well, I don't know anybody with money. And then once I'm like, really? That guy has 300 grand? You look at him and I'm like, I thought he was homeless. They're like, nope, the money is out there. I promise you, the money is out there. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, yeah, a lot of people get tripped up on raising private money and they think, man, how can I do that if I've never done a deal before? Well, it's not that hard. You just got to start talking to people about it. And one of the advantages to being in the coaching program with Scott is if you have a lender or a family member or somebody who's interested, Scott will get on the phone and talk to that lender with you, which is really amazing. And that right there is going to get you more deals and you're going to raise private money that much faster. So we should talk about the coaching, because we are going to shut the doors to that program this weekend. We're going to shut the doors. And we've already been getting a lot of people apply. Scott can only take a handful of folks. But if you are interested, you need to apply. And right now the link is slowflip.com/go, slowflip.com/go. And on there, it's just an application page. But Scott, will you review real quick what is in the coaching program? How can people get more information? And I think this is really going to be critical. And let's review that. And then if you want to do a couple of the closing things there, you can. Is that all right?
Yep. I'm trying to see. So you'd go to slowflip.com/go. So a couple things. We're starting this program. I'm trying to start everybody together. I know somebody asked me the question and said, oh, well, when does it end? That's why we're closing it. Otherwise I wouldn't close it, but we're closing it as I believe we're going to do Sunday night at midnight. Is that correct, Joe?
Yes. Sunday night at midnight.
We're closing it because I want to be able to train everybody on the same steps at the same time. So we're going to, so I don't have somebody come in a month later and then we're talking about something. I want to go over everybody at the same time. And I'm going to keep you guys, you're going to become really closely knit because you're going to get to know each other and each other's deals. And so I've done really well with creating a family environment with my coaching people. And so everybody helps each other. But so a couple things we're going to do. We do a couple meetings a week where we do, like we've been doing on these VIP sessions, where we answer questions, we go over, your deals, help out with whatever you need. We're also doing I forgot, I didn't even mention this yesterday. We start off everybody with a 90-day action plan meeting. And this is something I forgot to even mention. And we're going to do those one-on-one, where I'm going to sit with you and over the computer, and we're going to do our 90-day action plan meeting where we get to find out your exact goals that we've done. We go through everything that you're going to need to get done as far as your base of your business over the next 90 days to get you basically cloning my business. And then I set you up with a program that is going to give you one task at a time to clone my business. And some of those tasks are simple. When I say simple, it could be as simple as, buy your domain name, or set up Google My Business. There's certain things that are very simple, but I've learned by looking at other people's programs, and I've been in a lot of programs, I'm like, they leave out all the infrastructure, the stuff you need. And so I don't leave anything out. I make sure that you're going to actually have a real established business by the time you're done with it. I also offered to, I think Joe already mentioned, when you start working on Slowflips, I am going to speak with your lenders on the phone. I've been doing this for my people already, where they call and they say, hey, I got a lender, he's interested, but he still has some questions. Would you mind having a 3-way phone call with him? And by the time I'm done with them, they're done, because I know the answers to their questions. The last thing in the world you want is when you don't know the answer. If someone asks a question, you never want to have to say, I don't know. And so that's why I do the 3-way, because again, I've done hundreds of them and I know the answers to their questions. I also have what we call our online university, which is I do live 3-day events, and I have one recorded in there. And so you can start out, and I like people to start out this way, by watching the entire 3-day event. And it's not just on Slowflips. I teach wholesaling. I teach rehabbing. One of the things I teach that no one else teaches, and someone asked me about it this morning, is what we call the buy call process. I have a system, much like we have a system for raising money. I have a system for making offers on houses where you get to do it without anybody ever being upset at you, without anybody ever being upset, without anybody ever thinking that they're mad because they wanted 100 grand and your offer was 50. That doesn't mean they're accepting your offer, but you're not gonna leave with them being mad at you, because that's important, because 70% of our deals we get through follow-up. So you certainly don't want to end that appointment with them being mad at you. We're also having a program, if you have Slowflips that meet our criteria and you don't want to buy them, that you can either sell them to somebody else in the group or myself, and we'll pay a $5,000 referral fee for it if you decide you don't want to buy it. Once you learn the business, you're going to want to buy them yourself. But if you don't, some people you're risk adverse and say, no, I just want to find them and sell them to someone else. That'll be up to you. And and much more is my final answer is much more, because I didn't have the slide up and I'm blanking out to everything else, but there's a lot more to it. Oh, I'm also inviting you guys to come to my live events. Absolutely free.
Oh, this is really amazing. Listen,
yeah, if you guys want to fly in, you're welcome to come to my live events. I do them 4 times a year. You can spend 3 days with me, and you'll really enjoy it, because we teach a lot of stuff. I don't just teach Slowflips. Slowflips is a segment of my live event, but there's 6 segments, and that's just one of them. I teach a lot of stuff, and it's really good. Every single person that's ever been to my live event has said it's the best live event they've ever been to. And the deal, what I always say is my deal goal for you, which we put into the program, is my goal is that you're going to get a minimum of 3 Slowflips within the first 6 months, or we continue to work with you until you do, which means if you don't get any in 6 months, your time's not up with us. Or if you got 1 or 2, your time's not up. We're going to continue working with you until such a time that you actually got your first 3 Slowflips underway. And even and then some, because we really never tell anybody it's time to go. I try and keep my people around, because again, it becomes more of a family atmosphere. So,
well, let me explain let's summarize this coaching program right now. And again, you go to slowflip.com/go, slowflip.com/go. If you're wanting to, this isn't get rich quick, right? But this is how to get these slow flip deals. Scott is going to work with you one-on-one. You can only take a few people, and we're shutting it down. We're closing the doors this Sunday night. So this is what you're going to get. Number 1, Scott, if you want, we'll buy your slow flip deals. He'll pay you $5 grand for your slow flip deals if it meets his minimum criteria. You can also use his proof of funds letters when you're putting offers on these deals. Number 2, like we talked about, if you have a private lender that is interested but has some questions and maybe is doubting your experience a little bit, Scott will get on the phone with your private lender and explain the program to them. Okay. Number 3, he's going to work with you one-on-one. You're going to get a scheduled one-on-one call with him, just you and him at the beginning, helping you come up with a 90-day action plan to do these deals. All right. Number 3 or 4. If you don't get, what is it, 2 or 3 slow flip deals? 3 in how many days, months?
I put it as a 6-month program, but in reality is, as long as it takes you to be successful and be out on your own.
He will work with you until you do. All right. The next thing is he's going to give you private one-on-one Voxer access with him. Voxer is a smartphone messaging app, like a walkie-talkie on your smartphone, and you can message him and ask him questions. Then he does twice a week group coaching calls. There's a private Facebook mastermind. He has a 3-day event he does every 3 months in Virginia. You can go to Virginia and hang out with him every 3 months for 3 days. He has an online university that you can go through. He's got special software that he's going to give to you and that can build your business. He's got recordings of previous events. If you want to watch those, you don't have to wait until the next one, or if you don't want to travel. And he's got this thing called Clone My Business. And basically what he does there is he sends out videos every 2 or 3 days where just real simple, one task at a time for setting up your business. He's designed this so that you're cloning his business. He's basically giving you a business in a box and says, here, do this. All right. So again, summary, you're going to work with him one-on-one. You get to go every 3 months for 3 days to Virginia to his classes and sit down with him. He'll pay you $5,000 for a deal if you want. I'd suggest you keep these things for yourself, but if Scott's looking for more, and if you want to sell one of your slow flips to him that meet his criteria, you can use his proof of funds letters. You get access to Scott for 6 months on Voxer, where you can ask any question. He does twice a week group coaching calls. You come to a 3-day event as an online university. You can schedule a one-on-one call with him immediately after you sign up to get you a personalized game plan to help you analyze the market. Because this is going to be important too. You want to do this. You live in California or New York and I don't know, where am I going to go and do this? Scott will help you pick a market and help you find kind of what to look for and all of that stuff in a certain market, because you may be totally lost and confused. And listen, I know Scott, he looks like and he acts like he knows technology really well, but he doesn't. And I'm not saying that to knock Scott, but he's not good with technology. But here's the crazy thing about that. The encouraging thing about that. Here's Scott with 100. He's done hundreds and hundreds of deals, but he's got over 120 or 130 of these slow flip deals, right? And he's got 50 plus of them free and clear. His 12-year-old son in 3 or 4 years is going to have over $20,000 in recurring monthly income from these slow flip deals. All right. And I say all that to say, Scott barely knows how to turn a computer on.
Thanks,
right? I mean,
Jim.
he does.
That's true though, but yeah.
So he does all of this without being fancy techie systems. He's got a small team. How many people work for you, Scott?
Counting me, 1.
And his wife. Do you pay your wife?
No,
Well, yes, you do actually.
No, I don't. Well, yeah.
No, but anyway, is it like he does this on his own? It's not that complicated. You don't need to be a tech genius. You don't have to have all this fancy stuff. It's just real simple. And Scott's going to hold your hand and help you with this. I think this is an amazing opportunity. Go to slowflip.com/go to apply to work with Scott. Scott, how much does it cost? I'm sure it costs like 50 million.
Right. The cost is $75 million and you can pay that in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And no, I'm just kidding. But actually, I forgot to tell you one thing. I also, to the people that are in the program, we also are going to still teach on wholesaling for those of you who want to learn it. I still teach on everything because I believe you're going to get leads when you're looking for slow flips that aren't going to work as a slow flip. So we still teach you on absolutely everything. I make it, it fully encompasses every part of the business, not just slow flips, even though that's what we're working on this week. I am going to teach you on everything and coach you on everything. The cost for the program, the entire cost for the program with no monthly component is only $5,000. And originally I know they said, oh, you got to charge $1,000 a month. I said, no, we're not doing any monthly component. It's just a one shot fee and that's it. And it's a $5,000 fee.
$5,000
investment. Right.
Yeah. And by the way, if remember Scott said, when you're raising private money for these deals, you tell them this is the way the program works. Right. And so Scott borrows $30,000 for every single deal. Doesn't matter what he buys it for. So you might find a deal for $25,000. You borrow 30 and there you go. Your coaching fee is paid for on your first deal. Right.
Yep. We've had deals that we bought at 12 grand and you still walked away after closing costs with about 15.
Yeah. When's your next 3-day live? Somebody's asking, Scott.
My next 3-day is going to be at the end of January. I don't have dates in stone yet, but it's either going to be the very end of January or the first week in February, but I'm leaning toward the end of January.
Yeah. And you do them once a quarter. I mean, they're really good. They're in what part of Virginia?
In Virginia Beach or Norfolk, but generally in Virginia Beach.
Nice. Somebody's asking or saying here, not being technical speaks volumes about Scott's model. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I actually was telling Joe, funny, I was telling Joe the other day, I said, I wonder where I would be in the world if I was tech savvy, because I feel like Joe convinced me to do this, what we're doing here. And I had people literally since 2020 with the shutdown trying forever to get me to do an online thing. And I said no every single time because I'm like, I don't know how to work the computer. Joe got me to do this because he said, I'll do it all. I'll do all the computer. All you have to do is show up and teach. And I said, all right, that I can do. And it wasn't actually that bad. I was surprised because I have fear of technology. I don't know if anybody's on the same page as me, but I definitely have fear of technology and stuff not working. And this has actually worked out great, Joe. I think it was a lot less painful than I was expecting.
Awesome. All right. Slowflip.com/go. What do you want to do now, Scott? Do you want to talk about a few things and then head on over to our VIP coaching call, or?
Well, it depends. What kind of time do we have? I always have stuff to talk about. I can keep you guys, all day, but I know we were already past our hour, so I didn't know what you wanted me to do.
What are some big common questions people have about, let's just cover like 2 or 3 big common questions.
I'll go back. I actually had some common questions for people. So, okay. So one of the big questions I'm going back is, do I need a business license? This is a great question I get a lot. And the short answer is going to be, it depends. If you are just buying Slowflips, you do not need a business license. You have rentals. Basically they're seen the same way as having rentals. No different than any person that owns a rental does not need a business license for it. Keep in mind, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not your local city, but in my city in Virginia, I have been down many, many times with the business license department. And to this day, I do not have a business license. And I like not having a business license for my properties, because they charge on the gross. You buy a property for 100,000, sell it for 105, they tax you on the 105. And so it's a problem in real estate when you have to have a license. And it all comes down to intent. And now if your intent is to do Slowflips, you do not have to have a business license, at least from my understanding or in my state. So that's one part of it. The second part is, do I need an LLC? And so there's 2 answers on that. The first answer is no, you don't need an LLC. You can do business today and tomorrow and next month without an LLC. Do you want an LLC is the question. And my answer on that would be most likely yes, especially if you're going to own properties long-term. You're going to have these Slowflips in there. The reason I tell people you don't need one is because I don't want you to use that as a crutch to do nothing. And I've seen people do it, which is why I put this question up here, where I'll ask them a week or 2, a month or 2 months later on what they've gotten done. And they'll say, well, I haven't gotten anything done yet because I'm waiting to get my LLC. And I'm like, you don't need an LLC. You can get started today and then get your LLC when you get your LLC, but you don't need one to get started. Get started. That's the most important.
Do you need a real estate license to do this?
Great question. No, you do not need a real estate license. I do not have a real estate license. I've never had a real estate license, and I have no intention of getting a real estate license. You can have a real estate license. There are some benefits to having a real estate license if you're going to get into flipping, or if you were going to buy off the MLS. If you're in your market and you were going to buy off the MLS, there could be some benefits, but absolutely no, you do not need a license. I do not have one. Don't have any plans on ever getting one. Next thing I wanted to touch on is done is better than perfect. I cannot stress this enough. I have seen people go weeks, months, and years doing nothing, trying to make everything perfect. Just get it done and then worry about making it better after the fact. So there was a quote I heard at an event I attended once that he said, and I repeat this to my people all the time. I said, he said, if you don't look back at your first round of website, business cards, signs, everything, if you don't look back at it a year from now and laugh by how poorly done everything was, you took too long to get it done. Just do it. And then once it's out there, then you work on making it better. But when you try and make everything perfect, you'll end up never getting anything done. And it's easy to break the momentum. And that's why, Joe, we talked earlier about putting a cap on this. It's going to end Sunday night. And the reason is because I know that life gets in the way. And all of a sudden, if you stop the momentum, you guys have been with me for 5 days now. We've been doing nothing but talking about Slowflips, getting excited about Slowflips, learning about Slowflips, getting ready to go. Well, if you say, okay, well, a week from now or 2 weeks from now, a month from now, I'm going to do it. Guess what's going to happen in between? Shiny objects everywhere. A new season of some show comes out on TV, and you're going to forget all about the freedom and the future vision we talked about on day one. So that's why I feel like I need to get you rolling right now and keep that momentum going. Momentum is everything. I have a book out, and I know I mentioned it to you. The title of the book is Work Just Gets in the Way of Making Money. And that's why, because everybody has all these thoughts, plans, goals, future vision, and then you have to go back to work. And when you go back to work, what happens? You're tired, you don't have time, and you end up just, forget it. That future's for somebody else. Meanwhile, it could be you. I have dozens of examples of people who it became them. And it could be you, but you got to do it before work gets in the way, before life gets in the way. So first deal desperation, I just want to touch on real quick and then we'll move on. First deal desperation is really just, when people are so desperate to get a deal that they'll take on anything just because it's cheap and it meets the numbers, but it may not actually meet the numbers on the sales side. They're just looking at a cheap property. So I want you to make sure we analyze everything properly on the buy side and the sell side. And the flip side to that equation is analysis paralysis, where people find a good deal, but they can't pull the trigger because they just want to keep doing new charts and spreadsheets and what ifs. And so you have to have your criteria, much like when we approve somebody for a property, you have to have your criteria. And if it meets the criteria, then we pull the trigger. You don't overanalyze anything. You don't sit there with all the what ifs. I already touched on cheap houses. Don't buy them just because they're cheap. Okay, fear of failure. I have to stop on this. And I know I'm way over time, but I just want to talk about fear of failure. Fear of failure is a killer. This is what stops people. This is what stops people from doing their first deal, their next deal. You guys took time out of your week and you spent an hour with me, or I was overtime most of the time. So 2 hours with me every day this week for 5 days. You took the time. You could have said before even taking the time that, oh, well, I'm not going to bother because it's probably not going to work anyway, which people did. So let me tell you something else. And this is a good credit to you guys. So we've had maybe 300 or 400 people a day watch the live class, right? But we had 1,300 people sign up and say they were going to watch it. So what does that tell you? You guys are the ones who actually showed up. You're the ones who showed up, did what you said you were going to do, but that's just the first step. You have to get beyond the fear of what happens if it doesn't work out. Let me tell you the flip side to that question. What happens if it does? What happens if it does work out? What happens if you suddenly have everything you ever dreamed for? What happens? I always think about myself too, and not because I dropped out of high school, but because I have no special skills, no special knowledge in anything. And I always think, sometimes I'm living like this great life and I'm like, how do I have all this? How do I deserve it? And I know people that are smarter than me, better than me, all this other stuff. And yet they live waiting on their paycheck so they can get to next week. And it's always mind boggling to me. I'm like, how is it that I have this life? And it's because of that. It's because of eliminated the fear of failure. Just say, you know what, screw it. Yes, you're going to fail. You're going to fail at stuff. That's part of life. You're going to fail at stuff. And then you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. And each time you get better. So accept that. Fear of failure is part of life, and accept it and move on from it. And that's what empowers you to basically be able to do anything. Don't be cheap, pay people for what they do. And what I mean by that is I know people that I was a Carlton Sheets person. I bought his course probably in the mid 90s. And I know one of the things he taught you is you can do your own closings, get the deed, go to the courthouse and record it and do all this stuff. Save your $500 for the lawyer. I did some of that and I lost a lot of money because, I didn't do it properly because I did it myself. And so forever, I'm always telling people, spend the money to have everything done the way it's supposed to be done. Don't try and be cheap, saving money by doing everything yourself. Let everybody make money for what they do. Don't count the money in another man's pocket. I've mentioned to you 15 times already. You worry about making your money, and the more money you make, the more money other people make around you, the more money everybody's going to make, and they're going to want to make you money. This is something somebody just texted in yesterday. Can you buy at sub 2 and sell as a slow flip? The answer is 1,000% absolutely yes. I do it all the time. There's two sides of a slow flip. There's the buying side where we buy it and try and pay them off in 5 years. And then there's the sell side where we sell them with long-term owner financing at super retail. Well, you can sell any, the sell side you can do with absolutely any house. Buy it sub 2, buy it with your own mortgage, a rental you already have. Absolutely, you can sell it with the slow flip. Do I need a real estate license? We already addressed. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on, the very last slide, for 5 days spending with me, except for those of you who are coming on board. My wife actually just texted me and said, I think we're down to like 6 spots left, by the way, for those of you who are watching. I think we're down to 6 spots left. But nice. The last slide I wanted to share with you is you can do this one day, or this can be day one. You decide. That's it. You can do this one day, someday. I have a company called Someday Properties. You can do this one day, or this can be day one. That's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you spending the week with me. This was my first ever time doing something over the internet. and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Joe, do you have any closing words?
No, what we're going to do here is if you're a VIP member, we're going to jump on over to our special private Zoom meeting room to answer some more Q&A. I have a sneaky suspicion Scott and I might come back over the weekend with a bonus session. We'll see. I'm not promising anything, but I haven't even told Scott yet.
I was going to say, hey, this is news to me. I got plans.
But this has been a lot of fun. If you are in this Facebook group, and by the way, if you're watching this elsewhere on YouTube or on my Facebook page or whatever, if you go to Facebook and do a search for Slowflips Blueprint, you'll find this group that we have in here. We are taking these videos down Sunday night. We're closing the doors for the coaching applications to work one-on-one with Scott Sunday night. We're taking the videos down Sunday night in the Facebook group. So just make sure you watch all these videos. This is our 5th one in the Facebook group, right? So again, if you're interested in working with Scott, I'm telling you, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I don't say that lightly. I really genuinely believe that. Slowflip.com/go. Slowflip.com/go. All right, cool. Thank you, everybody. Scott, I think we're
guys,
good.
We'll see you in the VIP room shortly.
All right. Thanks, everybody.